this lesson, we're going to step through the process of designing and deploying your applications using the Agile Codeless method that we've developed over the last 2 decades of using in Canvas. Any design exercise assumes a level of trial and error, but the risks represented by software authoring are borne out in studies both in terms of slow time to market and burgeoning costs. The article "Why Your IT Project May Be Riskier Than You Think" was produced by Harvard Business Review back in November 2011. It followed the analysis of over 1,471 IT projects with an average spend of $167 million. And what it found was the average cost overrun was 27%, while 1 in 6 projects had a cost overrun of over 200%. Additionally, almost 70% of overrunning projects also overran their schedules. So what goes wrong? There are lots of challenges with developing software. It starts with understanding the stakeholder requirements and expectations and gaining consensus between stakeholders on the needs. For business analysts, one of the biggest challenges is interpreting the requirements of the stakeholders into tools, data, reports and interfaces, and then staying on track with the development. Constant iteration and feedback with stakeholders always helps. There are also cultural obstacles, like departments not agreeing on how to proceed, and behavioural norms that exist within the business, that when you try to change those norms with a new approach using software or a different process, you receive pushback from the stakeholders. The sad truth about many applications is that they struggle with data quality issues. When reusing data from existing sources, it can be a real challenge getting the data quality right. There are technical obstacles too, like connecting to data sources, or having the right tools to deliver the applications that stakeholders want. Many projects simply run out of steam before the stakeholders genuinely get what they want out of their applications. It's a painful truth, but creating intuitive applications really isn't easy. Agile Codeless is a software development lifecycle process, a way to design and deploy data-centric applications for work groups and teams. It dramatically reduces the skill set and tooling needed to author applications, and it consolidates the roles of design analyst and developer into one. It's a computer-aided process that requires codeless authoring tools like in Canvas that employ pre-formatted building blocks of technology, negating the need for programming, testing, and reworking associated with previous software development methods. It's really important to have a consistent approach to applications development process. That way, everybody knows what they need to do and how they can contribute to achieving the result. The software development lifecycle needs to enable the development to bridge between app stakeholders and IT. It needs to serve all the communities of users, produce success faster to maintain project momentum. And when compared to low-code solutions, in Canvas reduces the time, cost and risk of applications development by at least a factor of 10. It removes testing and only requires tuning of the application. And it also reduces the onward IT support costs. Let's take a moment to look back on the different forms of development tooling and software development lifecycle. When enterprise computing began, everything was done using coding and scripting. And projects adopted a waterfall approach with big programming teams that had limited capability to integrate with existing data and IT silos. Developers would work in silos against a project specification, reviewing progress sporadically. This type of approach disconnected the project development from the stakeholders that required the solution. It led to a lot of recoding and retesting and retuning that produced many of the costs attributed to poor performing projects. Additionally, it required an awful lot of technical skill and many different tools. And this led to a very complex project with lots of project management. Over the last decade, we've seen low-code solutions gain in popularity, and many of those adopt an Agile Scrum approach. How this generally works is developers work in small teams and review progress on activities frequently. They use middleware and low-code tools to simplify the integration with existing IT and data. The constant reviews of project status keep the project closer to the stakeholders and mean that the result is normally better. There are also savings in the time needed to test and tune the applications. Within Canvas, we're using Codeless software and an Agile Codeless software development lifecycle. Applications are developed in conjunction with stakeholders working in workshops where business analysts drive the development. This collaborative approach to development ensures that the stakeholders are fully engaged in the application design process, which is really important because it's they that understand what the application needs to do and how they want it to work. Using in Canvas, they benefit from a single integrated tool with a built-in capability to integrate with existing IT and data silos. Developments continuously iterate designs until they're perfect, with little or no custom coding required, and it produces many applications on the same common-to-all platform, which makes it easier to secure, replicate, and grow applications once they've been developed. Adopting Agile Codeless methods dramatically reduces project complexity and the number of roles required to fulfill a project. It reduces skills demands and, of course, the number of IT tools you're going to need to develop an outcome. In a traditional low-code Agile Scrum project, you could expect to see a project leader, a Scrum Master, a series of developers, a number of quality assurance and testing roles, release manager, the executives making the decisions around the project, and also the users and stakeholders involved in the project, probably at the start, sometimes during the project, and then definitely at the end. Agile Codeless, on the other hand, requires a much smaller project team and makes project management far simpler, so it's very rare you actually need a dedicated project manager. The minimum requirement you have to deliver a project is likely to be the IT architect and administrator role to manage the IT platform and take care of the complex IT integrations and technology components. You'll need the business analyst role to interpret the requirements of the stakeholders, develop a design brief, and then produce the application using codeless tooling. And of course you'll still have the executives responsible for the outcome and the users and stakeholders who want to know that the application is going to work for them. Now, I don't want to leave you with the impression that you'll be the first person to ever start using Agile Codeless. In fact, we've been using it for almost 20 years to deliver some of the most challenging IT projects ever contemplated in the world. Things such as managing traffic information across entire regions and capturing insights from millions of people across the United Kingdom. We've also helped to improve the performance of farming give companies the ability to understand their customers better by analysing their behaviours. We've even made it simpler to manage roadworks across Greater London. Many of the companies that have previously used Agile Codeless methods are international and global businesses, and yet they still had the same business challenges: maximising customer experience, minimising operating costs, and producing the best applications for their users and stakeholders. So join me in the next lesson when I step through the Agile Codeless software development lifecycle, where you will learn how to produce better results faster for your users and stakeholders.